because I'm funny lifestyle. We are doing our project on pesticides and chemical sprays. We chose this topic because there's a lot of controversy on this topic and how we use it.
What we are trying to answer is, should pesticides be banned? And are they vital to our produce production?
Pesticides are very dangerous and cause a lot of harm to our environment.
Do you know how your produce is treated?
Our produce is grown on farms. To ensure successful produce growth, farmers use a chemical pesticide to prevent pests eating our food. Pesticides are a substance toxin released intentionally into our environment to kill living things. They are very dangerous and can cause health effects. For example, according to Penn State, pesticides can cause birth defects, respiratory illness, cancer, and death poisoning. What can lead to these effects is pesticides washing up in our water, leaving residue on our food, contaminate our soil, and being overused. Our first interview with Ed Terry from Terry Farms. How do you keep the water sources clean?
Clean? They better be clean coming out of the soil, out of the ground, or we don't use them. So we test our water wells almost monthly. We check for fecal coliforms and other types of pathogens that could be in the water. And we have food safety audits every quarter where we have to prove to the auditors that the water sources are clean by an independent laboratory.
How do you keep the nutrients in the soil?
Okay, so every so often we will take soil samples, send them to a laboratory, and see how much NP and K, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus is in the soil. And some crop, what we try to do is to rotate crops because each crop has different beneficial aspects for the soil. So some crops like legumes are nitrogen fixing, and you don't need to put nitrogen in when you grow them. Other crops need nitrogen. For instance, celery needs some type of nitrogen source so it'll stay green. So we try to manage our crop rotations so each crop gets the benefit of the last crop.
How do you balance pesticides with safety?
The state of California has its own agency. It's called the Department of Pesticide Regulation, which is above and beyond the federal regulations. So just can only use materials that have been tested by the state to use on crops in California, and certain materials are registered on specific crops, so you can't take a material that's registered on celery and use it on peppers because you'll go to jail. So you can't do that. So you only use what's been licensed and for those crops.
Do you grow organics? And what is your opinion on them?
We have some blueberries that probably are organic, but we don't certify them as organic because of some of the fertilizers we like to use in them. They don't get sprayed, but organic, I'll give my 2 cents worth of organic. A lot of people like to buy organic products. That's not a problem, but there's organic foods, quote unquote. There's no science backing it up. So people will be really happy that they're buying an organic stalk of celery. But when you look at a gas chromatograph, there really is no difference between a stalk of organic celery and a stalk of conventionally grown celery. In fact, right now, you've probably read in the newspaper, there's an insect called the Asian citrus psyllid that is attacking citrus trees here. And it's such a devastating pest that it can transmit a disease called HLB, and that HLB will kill the tree. And so consequently, they're having to do wide area spraying for ACP. And even the folks that grow organic lemons, they're getting an exemption because they have to spray their trees with this material that isn't organic, but the state said, we'll give you a pass to say it is organic. So that just, the fact of the matter is that I believe, and always have believed, that until somebody can convince me differently by science, that organic products are more of a marketing aspect for people that want to eat organically versus a methodology of growing a crop.
This is Claudia Terry explaining a way they discovered to grow their berries pesticide-free.
So it helps retain the water and stuff. And for whatever reason, the bugs don't like the coconut husks, so they leave the bushes alone. So he's never had to spray them, which is amazing. They're not considered organic because it takes 3 years to get a certification, and we're not going to go through that. But he's never had to spray them, and they're just prolific.
What Ed Terry explained to us was what the restrictions on pesticides were. He also shared how Terry berries kept our soil and water supply clean. He informed us of his opinion on organic farming, which we thought was very interesting because we learned that even organic farms need some sort of pesticide.
This is Jason from To My Farms. How do you control the amount of pesticides that goes on a crop?
When we do, like say with corn, I mean each pesticide has a label that tells you the maximum, the minimum, and how much you can use. So we go by let's start with the label, which is set by the California Department of Pesticide Regulation. Yeah, you can't just like go hog wild and spray like every day forever. Someone will get sick or you'll kill the plants.
Do you think pesticides are good or bad?
Yeah, look at it like this. So it's like medicine. It can be good or bad. If you use too much, it's not good. But I mean, sometimes you have to use it to control the pests because organic methods just don't work. And I mean, even with organics, what a lot of people don't realize is you still use sprays on your organic stuff. So we do that too. We try not to, mostly because they're expensive. And then a lot of the times, once the pest is in, you're not going to kill it anyway. So it's almost like a waste to just keep doing it.
Do you have any natural ways to prevent pesticides?
Yeah, like I said, we do the predator bugs for strawberries, so we don't really have to spray them. Organic chemicals do work. It's the biggest thing for us is you got to control like the outbreaks when they're small. So once they get big, no matter how much you spray or what you spray, it's not going to do anything.
Jason also states that pesticides do get used on organics. He also explains how much of the pesticide goes on the crop. He gives us his opinion on pesticides. This is Michael from H&M Farms and a certified organic. How do you feel about pesticides?
Well, you can't grow crops without some type of pesticide, but it's whether you're using synthetic or non-synthetic. So non-synthetic pesticides are definitely the best way to go. Synthetic pesticides are organic GMO, cause sickness in humans.
How are some of the farmers using pesticides?
Some people use airplanes even, but if you've just got a few acres, you can just take a little handheld thing with your non-synthetic neem oil and just spray wherever you see a problem. When you get over like 20 acres or even up to 100 and 500 acre farms, they use tractors and they just fumigate the whole field and spray herbicides everywhere and pesticides. They'll literally drop a load of pesticides from an airplane on the entire field, not just spot treating problematic areas.
What are your natural solutions without pesticides?
Pesticides, you've got synthetic and non-synthetic pesticides. So here with our 8-acre farm at H&A Farms, we can use non-synthetic such as neem oil, which are natural solutions. It's a sticky oil, so bugs stick to it and they can't crawl around and reproduce. Synthetic pesticides kill the bugs by either dehydrating them, poisoning them. They act as a virus sometimes. So synthetics, if they're bad for bugs, they're bad for us. And non-synthetics are okay.
Michael quotes that you cannot grow a crop without some kind of pesticide. He told us that larger farms don't calculate how much pesticides they use, more than smaller farms know and track. This is Dan Hewlin from Butte, Montana's ranch. Do pesticides get tested before use?
Most definitely. Once they apply for a label, for a pesticide label, it takes 12 years before the USDA will certify it. They run them through thousands and thousands of experiments and tests before they can ever use them.
Does the residue stay on the fruit?
Most pesticides should be biodegradable. They should be broken down within 3 days. Once you spray them, it has immediate effect to kill whatever pests are bothering it, and then it's gone. It breaks down and evaporates away.
Do you have any examples of what would happen if we didn't use pesticides?
Research the state of Florida. They're the #1 growers of oranges in the United States, and right now they have a bacteria attacking all their trees because they did not use a pesticide, and 90% of the citrus fruits in Florida has been killed. So they're saying that oranges and that kind of thing are just going to skyrocket in price this summer, all because they did not use a pesticide.
What we learned from this project was we need the option to use pesticides. Obviously, pesticides are very dangerous because they are toxic, but without using them, the amount of produce we have would decline. For example, in the Florida outbreak, there are new reoccurring bugs and are getting into our crops. They can destroy an entire line of crops. Pesticides are used to protect our produce. There is a series of different pests that occur in different crops that can require a chemical pesticide. The farmers we interviewed seemed to indicate that the larger the farm is, the more pesticides are being used, more than smaller farms.
After doing and having multiple interviews, we came to discover that it is impossible to ban all pesticides without having a huge decline in produce.
And our hypothesis was wrong, and we learned that pesticides should be banned. They should lower the amount used on our produce.